All right, we are live. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Today, we are live with another Tech Thursday. I have Alan with me, and we will be discussing a really neat tool that I just came across a few days ago when Alan told me about it. I've been testing OpenClaw quite a bit, and Alan has a product called Entropic AI, which we're going to dive into here in a second. And this app actually makes it easier for you to test out OpenClaw or cloud agents, whatever you want to call them. So I'm really excited to dive into this one. Alan, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Rob. Appreciate you having me and excited to jump in here. Looking forward to covering everything that we're doing with Entropic and Quai and all the other great updates.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And Alan, some of you already know Alan from Quai Network. It's an incredible team, and they built really great products within their ecosystem. And one of the strongest ecosystem that I'm definitely keeping an eye on for the next bottom that's going to be coming up here in the next few months. And so I'm excited to host you today, Alan. If you don't mind giving a quick introduction about who you are for those who are tuning in for the first time and may not know you.
Yeah, appreciate the background there, and yeah, hopefully, exciting times for crypto ahead. My
Yes.
background is in blockchain development, blockchain engineering, and research. I started in crypto in about 2016, got into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of other earlier technologies for really how to make crypto usable and accessible. So have a team of great colleagues. A lot of us really go back to the University of Texas, where we started what was then Block Reduce and then evolved into Quai. And so we've been on this mission to build a scalable and programmable proof of work blockchain and sticking to the fundamentals of proof of work, really rooted in cypherpunk ethos and how to actually make crypto usable for the world. We've designed Quai, which is again a proof of work blockchain, a proof of work layer one, to be EVM compatible, scalable with low fees. Again, proof of work, and doing that in a way that scales proof of work. We're very ardent believers in that being more censorship resistant, decentralized, and better for adoption long term. And we launched that last year in February, and it's been running really smooth. It's been great. We did a hard fork recently in December for the subsidized open market acquisition protocol, or SOAP. And so now Quai, as a proof of work chain, is bringing in real revenue into the blockchain. And seeing that, we've been on the forefront of all these other innovations, and we've really tried to be at the cutting edge of where this
Hmm.
technology is heading, both in crypto and AI. And so when we saw OpenClaw, our team is very heavy on AI development. Everyone is locked in using Claude Code, Codex, Gemini CLI, Higgsfield, you name it, where we use every AI tool. And we saw that OpenClaw was really a right solution and a good solution to how to be agentic and how to use agentic
Hmm.
workflows. But there were some fundamental things that were wrong with OpenClaw. And I think, I was around kind of whenever it was doing the Molt bot, Claude bot transition into into what it is now with OpenClaw, and then it gets acquired by OpenAI.
Hmm.
So
Open call, yeah.
and so, kind of getting on the ground floor with that. We've been building out Entropic since then, and it's been about a little over a month of us trying to put together this product and getting to a really good spot for it. And it's different in several ways. We can go kind of into the differences of how Entropic is different and how we intend to leverage Quai and use this full ecosystem in the future. And so, yeah, we see this as a symbiotic thing to the Quai ecosystem. We see it as something that we could bring users into to grow their own AI toolkit and empower their lives. And it's a great
Hmm.
solution with a lot of great architectures that we can dive into and talk about more. But that's a little bit about my background. I try to do as much as I can in all things AI, crypto, and wherever the wind takes me. But definitely excited about where the future is headed in this area.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think OpenClaw is doing some really phenomenal things for agentic AI, and I've been very, very impressed with them. And there are challenges with it. It's not super user friendly, and so there are definitely some challenges. So I'm always appreciating any team that's trying to make a difference here, and I'm excited to kind of dive into Entropic. I will tell you, it's been a while since I've been excited about an app AI product, and I haven't really, frankly, seen much since Angel AI. Their product is phenomenal, and Twin. So this is probably the third one that I'm super excited about in the last few months. So definitely, I'm looking forward to diving into this one. Ellen, I'm going to bring up your screen. I know you're going to share it, but also for any community members who may be still new to kind of agentic AI, if you could, and also people who may not know much about agentic AI, right? They may be, they may hear about the AI agents and things like that. Could we, could we do like a little like a breakdown of what do you mean when you say agentic AI, and what where we are actually headed with that?
Yeah, so I think this evolution of AI, and so my background in crypto and AI, I said crypto about 2016. I got started in AI actually in 2018, and so was doing a lot of AI work in college. I took a few classes actually, around building LLMs, and so I've been familiar with the LLM space since then. And to see OpenAI and to see all these things evolve, it's been insane to see. But again, I don't think that's was truly agentic. And when you look at getting to agents and when you get to the expansion of why agents become useful, there's a few pillars, one of which is memory. And so what does it look like to have persistence and shared sessions and the history, excuse me, of how you interact with AI? And so when you look at something like ChatGPT or Claude, you can have a session and you're like, okay, like I'm asking about, like here's like a question on like the weather in San Diego, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to be stored and that's not going to be accumulated over time. And so what OpenClaw did in this revolution that it had is, well, now you have this knowledge base and you have this agent that works for you. And so how do
Mm-hmm.
you leverage this knowledge base and this accumulation of history? You maybe have a certain task that you want done often, or maybe you have
Mm-hmm.
something that is needs to be remembered from 3 months ago, right? Like we all have busy
Mm-hmm.
schedules, we all have busy lives, and if you use just ChatGPT, well, that's not going to remember, the thing that you wanted to do 3 months out, or your certain preferences, or things that you want to learn more about, or things that you have kind of designed your life around. And so
Mm-hmm.
OpenClaw really introduced something, really stupid simple, and it's just let's run things on a cron job, right? Let's run things
Mm-hmm.
every hour. Maybe you want to check the news every hour. Maybe you want to check the poly market every hour. Maybe you want to check finance information every hour. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you want to see, like if your favorite artist dropped a new song. And so those types of checks were built into OpenClaw, and then it brought in all this data. And so I think agentic AI is important because when done properly, it brings in the information that you want,
Mm-hmm.
stylizes it to yourself, and it customizes it to you. And so the kind of craze right now that people are doing, and some of it's circular, some of it's like, all right, we don't really need to be doing all that, but some of it's actually really impactful. And I think the impactful bit is around designing these agents in a way that is
Mm-hmm.
custom to you, in a way that you own it, right? Because again, going back to these crypto principles and these systems around crypto, is you want to own your data and you want to own how you operate your agent. You want to own the data that your agent is interacting with. And ultimately, you want to own the inference in the future. And you want to have models running locally. You want to have privacy in regards to that as well. And you want that to be something that can be done easily, right? I think the problem that we've addressed with Entropic very specifically is it's super hard to get OpenClaw set up, right? You have to have 20 different terminal commands. You have to have a billion different ways of installing skills, and then you have to manage it all. And like, that's just really
Yes.
difficult. And so our goal here, and what people are looking at on the screen, and thank you for sharing, is
Yes.
essentially a one-click way of installing OpenClaw in a box that comes for you that runs securely on your device. So you don't have to worry about getting a Mac Mini. You don't have to worry about getting API keys. You don't have to worry about any of that. It all comes in one nice box. You install it on your Mac. We're building Windows right now. And so Linux is done as well. And so for every OS, it comes isolated in its own container. So basically like a VPS or like a server, but instead on your machine. And so when you put this agent, this thing that wants to crawl out of a box and delete your emails and check your files and pull in stuff that it's not supposed to, you give it this nice
Mm-hmm.
isolated runtime, and you give it this nice isolated workspace. And then from there, you can begin the customizability and the workflows. And so I'll show a demo here. I have a few questions pulled up already. I'm just, hey, what's the weather in San Diego? You can pull in different things. We can go to
Mhm.
sort of a chat on building the agent. And so you can
So,
customize.
Ellen, before we do that, you're actually breaking up as well. But before we do that, like, how do we begin? How do we go to Entropic AI website? Like, how do we get to this box here?
Yeah, so let me go ahead and share that, and I'll pull that
Okay.
real fast. So entropic.qu.ai, and again, just stop me if I'm cutting out here.
It's much better now. And it's so just to sum up what Alan also described about agentic AI. So you, of course, you go to ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever, you put in a little prompt to help you with something, and it's able to do that for you, right? It's able to do whatever you're asking it to do. With an agent is more proactive than reactive. It knows your preferences, that you could set up certain tasks. And so when I was talking about the apps that I'm excited about, another one that I've been excited about lately was ASI One, if you guys remember. And I like to, when I wake up in the morning, every morning I like to get a newsletter that shows me, like, that summarizes everything that has happened in the crypto world in the last 24 hours. And that agent actually does it for me every single day. I don't have to go to the platform and type anything in or none of that. It emails me what I need. And so that's really how powerful these agentic AI systems are. And some of these agents, they could do a variety of things. If you have a business that, let's say, files for, RFPs, RFIs, RFQs, like the government contracts, that I think agentic AI could really help you with that. It could help you if you are somebody who's looking for, job opportunities. It could help you with that. Uh, Variety of things. You could even set up, to talk to your clients, to your customers if you have a business. So there are so many use cases of agentic AI. And it's also incredible how quickly we are adopting. It's almost like it reminds me of what happened during COVID-19 when everybody had to adapt to cloud technology. Now it's all about, hey, how could we use these AI agents to make our life easier? So it's exciting times. So Ellen, I see your screen right now. You brought up this website, entropic.qu.ai. So we just go there and then we can download this for free.
Yeah, so it's again one-click download, and so I'll
Okay.
scroll through the web page just to show a little bit more on everything that you can do. Again, it brings in and wraps a lot of the OpenClaw technology. Again, we're not doing anything completely novel here. We've just done it in a way that is secure. And so the
Hmm.
the cloud agent, or the agent, is not running in the cloud. So typically when you look at other solutions like this, they will be running in the cloud. Instead, this is something that you install on your machine. And so your agent is running locally on your machine, and it is in an isolated container using Docker, Kalima, other types of virtualization to make sure that it's secure and isolated from your other files. So you don't need to go spend money on the Mac Mini. You don't need to go and have a provider that runs all your data for you and it is hosted for you. It's just running on your machine. We are working on local inference as well. And so right now we're using hosted inference, just like you would use with Anthropic or with ChatGPT. But it's as simple as clicking this download button here, and then that
Hmm.
gets installed. And then when that is installed, I already have it on my device. So I'll jump back to what it looks like here. When it
Ellen, what about, you don't have it yet for Windows? Do you have um, any updates on when we will be able to actually see it on Windows
that is coming,
also?
I was working on that just before this call. So
Okay, okay.
that
I'll be
is,
looking forward to that. I mean, I'm a Microsoft certified individual. I've been a techie in the past. I was building solutions, and so when my career, when I basically retired from Web 2, I was a solutions director, and I was Microsoft certified. I was actually talking about it yesterday on my live stream about our preferences about Linux versus Mac versus Windows. So I have a bias, very, very strong bias in favor of Windows. So,
That will be done soon. And so
okay.
we've heard the community and everyone loud and clear. They want Windows, and we're going to get that done.
Yes.
That's there's some nuance and some differences between the architecture because we still want it to be secure. And so
Mhm,
Windows has something called WSL2, which is a virtualization process to making sure that we can have its own isolated runtime. And so we're
mhm.
going to be shipping that with WSL2, and it will be just as easy as I showed as downloading from Mac. And so that will be done as soon as we can get it. That's the hoping for today, tomorrow for Windows release. So stay tuned.
That's incredible. So once we install Anthropic AI, this is the window that we're gonna see.
Yeah, you're going to see a loading page that's just going to say, hey, setting up your environment. I'll show you
Mhm,
kind of what that looks like here, just to like kind of reset some of the info. If I go into settings and then I kind of restart our container, you kind of see this loading sandbox. So your agent is going to be in the sandbox, and this takes a little while. It can take a minute or so just to get set up.
mhm,
So for the
mhm,
purpose of the demo, we have a loader that says, hey, like here's some things that you can do. This is getting set up in a secure sandbox. Your agent will be ready. And that's just kind of
mhm,
some of the overhead. And that timing we're looking to get as fast as possible, just
mhm.
because, again, a lot of this technology is new. Some of the pieces are a little slower, but we've actually gotten it to be really quick. And so the download itself is really small. It's only a couple hundred megabytes, which is great. And so
Mhm.
it doesn't take up a lot of space on your machine. And then when you're in, you see something like this. And so the ability to build your agent, to build your own profile, to have some suggested prompts on how to interact with Entropic. And really from
Mhm.
there, it's your creativity can kind of take you wherever, right? So
Right. It's like sky's the limit here. Alan, what about, so this is another thing that's important. There are definitely concerns around security when you are running OpenClaw on your device and where you're basically given it full access, and all of that. So with this particular app within Tropic, you're basically putting it in the container, so it's not as like it doesn't have access to the rest of your device, right?
100%. That is our sole selling point here and what we're trying to focus on, alongside
Hmm.
some other nice to haves, right? We want this to be a consumer product that people don't have to be scared of. And of course,
Hmm.
we are fighting that uphill battle where people are like, I'm still not fully trusting you guys, and I would love to see this grow, but how do we continue to make it better? And I'll show you kind of ways in which you can see that, right? So looking at something like a desktop view, well, here's are the files that the agent has access to. I have an agent named Julie that we start with. And if I open this, well, here are the files that Julie can see. It can't see my, financial spreadsheets and my budgets and my normal downloads. It can't see, all of the other PDFs and maybe some of my business proposals. It just sees what it sees in this container and in this workspace. And so by wrapping it in this virtualized container, it can't break out of it. You've put it in a box on your machine. And so
Hmm.
that is how we've addressed that security piece is we've ensured that it can't break out of that box. And we've done that with virtualization technology because modern hardware comes with virtualization technology to where you can represent a different type of operating system inside of your computer and give it its own user space. The second being the skills. And so there was a lot of concern around skills and how people can
Hmm.
interact with those skills. And we went ahead and added an additional scanner from Cisco that vets skills from ClawHub. And so if we look at something like GitHub, whenever I install the GitHub skill, it's going to do an additional scan for me, and it's going to tell me
Hmm.
what it sees before it installs it in my user space. And so you can see here,
Incredible.
we're going through the scanner here to make sure that GitHub is clean. I would hope GitHub is clean, but again, you don't know who's publishing what. You don't know, you know, who's representing what GitHub is. And so this is going to go and essentially take a little time to run it again in its own isolated space. So when we're actually doing this scan here, we're running it in another container again. And so we've
Mhm.
isolated that. So if that skill that we are scanning is malicious, even then it's in its own isolated space. And so you can see here, this comes back clean. We now have GitHub installed. And so if we go back to our desktop, you can see here in our skills, we now have GitHub. And so we can see our skills that are installed. We can manage them. We can see the different types of things that it tells us. And so if we pull Markdown here, we can see what GitHub is doing for a skill, and it kind of informs us. And then we can interact with it. And so if I wanted to, I can pull this up and I say, okay, well, I have my skills here in GitHub. And then I also have another chat feature where I can pull up chat in the desktop directly here. I can collapse this. I can have this worked here, and I can say, ask me about these files, or, tell me what skills I have on my desktop. And then again, working on some of the speed here to sort of make this a little faster. Right now, you saw in this setup, for me to get to this point, I didn't copy an API key. I didn't have to go and open 10 different files or 10 different pages to track down OpenClaw, and I didn't have to do any terminal commands. I pressed a couple buttons, and I'm already here using skills, and I'm doing so in a way.
And it's free to do that.
Yeah, to get to this point is free, and so we've unified billing so that we give the user $1 on the first setup, and then if they choose to use their own API keys, they can do so in settings. And so I'll pull up settings again so that we can look at that. And models here, we are all unifying them with OpenRouter. So we will support the latest frontier models for whatever people choose. And so right now, with 5.2, we're going to be upgrading this to 5.3. I can do 5.2 codecs for things that are coding. I can use Gemini 3 Pro for vision and image creation. And then I can select and change these depending on what I want. Like I said, we're adding local models. So we're going to be adding Apple Intelligence so that it can default to the one that's running on your Mac if you have a Mac. If not, we will be providing an OLlama interface so that people can run, if they're running an LLM, they can connect Entropic to that LLM that is on their desktop or on a certain PC that they run. And then from here, if people do choose to say use their Claude API key or their ChatGPT API key, they can do so by toggling this, and then that will prevent billing. But for people that don't have a subscription or want to just unify it, we have billing available here, and you can just use credits, and it's actually pretty cheap for getting an agent set up and getting some credits set up. So then you don't have to worry about managing API keys or managing the latest models or rotating subscriptions. It's just in one place, all unified.
Gotcha. So yeah, that means I have the option to either, like, if I was to use my Entropic keys for cloud, I could do that, or I could just basically use a subscription model that you have. But to do some of the stuff, we could do that for free, right, at the beginning.
Yeah, you get $1, and that will, you'll be able to go through a day of getting set up and trying it, seeing if you like it, and seeing if you want to continue and build out your agent this way, or bring in an API key to circumvent some of that and do it on your own.
Perfect. And so also, Alan, for those people who are thinking about using the product and they want to buy credits, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this product wouldn't automatically charge anyone's credit cards. It's all about you adding credits to the box, correct?
Yep. Yeah, we don't charge anyone's credit card. You have to put it in. It's handled through Stripe, so you can cancel in Stripe, and it just tops up your credits. And so you come in here, you can add funds, and then from there, it's just pay per use. And so you can go, one of the things that we've actually done is you see we have this X skill here for X research. You might find this one interesting. So what we can do with X research is we've pulled in the X API, the new one that they revamped with the credits, and we've put that in our unified billing for Entropic. And so now if you go sign in with X directly in Entropic, which you can do, you just link your X account, you can then now query X data with those same credits that you're using for inference. And so our goal here with Entropic is to add in more of this unified experience so that you can pull in things without having to go and create an X developer account and getting an API key on X and putting that in. If you just want to access X data, well, now if I'm already in here, I can say, what is trending on X in the crypto world? And then that will go, and I can kick off this query, and then it will go use that X skill with my link that I've already created from the skills, and with my
Mhm.
billing that I've done in Entropic. And so from there, it's super easy to pull that all in. And again, we're working on some of these speeds. It's a little slower right now. We'll see how long it
Mhm.
takes for X to get some data back to us. But these are the types of flows that we're building out and we're wanting to improve on, because having some of these structured flows for people that are super easy to get set up and use and actually help them with their research or their daily lives is where we want to head.
This is perfect. Love this. So you don't even need an X developer account. You could actually use this product, Entropic AI, to access what's happening. Like it basically accesses the API keys from X and gives you the information that you're looking for. Absolutely incredible for research purposes. I could definitely see myself using this one. Alan, I think one question that a lot of people are going to have is how secure is the product? I know we talked about like the security when it comes to the access that this product has for my computer. What about who could see what I'm doing within this box? Could your folks see what's happening here, or is it encrypted? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I'll lead with, you're talking to a team that's developed a proof of work layer one blockchain. So, in terms of security,
Absolutely.
right, we take all of that very seriously. And
Mhm.
we've been designing systems for years to be secure. And we have privacy and security at the forefront of the mind, but we're also operating in a place where we need to move fast. And so the security here is, if we look at these files, and by the way, this got back. I wish, again, that was a little faster, but here's what's trending on X. And all it
Mhm.
took me was to sign into X. And so, again, when you look at the desktop here, these are the files that your agent can see. This is running on my Mac today. I have this on my
Mhm.
machine and I have this operating here and I'm comfortable with the security. And this is because we're running it in Docker Desktop, we're running it in Kalima, and we virtualized the system to where the agent can't get out. From the team
Mhm.
perspective and where the data goes, is if you go and toggle the local model, then you're not touching any of our billing. You're not touching our API. We use a process called OpenRouter, which is a unified interface for model inference, which allows us to provide the latest models and also customizability, because it wraps it in a unified layer for us. And so when we do that, we don't see any of the queries, but the people that will see your data are the ones that you select. So the Claudes of the world, the Chat GPTs of the world, and the people that you're already interacting every day with for this inference is kind of the rub of where that ends. But where we want to get to is there's some options that we're looking at. The first option is looking at something like Venice, because Venice does some private inference and they run ways that can use things like TEEs or other types of proving to make sure that, and I don't think it's fully provable yet, but I think they're headed there for more private inference. And so that's ultimately the end goal, is how do you take this nice box, bring in all the different pieces, make it easy to manage, make it isolated and secure, and then how do you get private inference? Because right now we can't see your inference as a provider for Entropic and what we're doing. We can't see it, but ChatGPT and Claude can. And so, again, I don't know if you want to give OpenAI all your emails, but a lot of people are doing that, and some people are comfortable with that, but we can't see any of that. I'll lead with that. But where we want to get to is then OpenAI doesn't even get any of your information. You have private inference that is running either on your device or given by a provable provider that is private that can give you this inference so that you can do everything in a private way. And that's where we want to get to. And so, like I said, one of our next steps of getting there is doing the Apple Intelligence locally and then providing an OLlama interface so that people running their own models can plug that into themselves and they can have that stitched to their Entropic harness and run it that way. And then for us, you're gonna be like, well, then why are you doing this? It's, we get to provide some of these other interfaces. And then maybe, we make money on the X skill, right? Or we provide other interfaces for bringing that in and saying, hey, we can have all sorts of ways to provide useful wrappers for these APIs. And so, yeah, on the privacy side, we take it very seriously. Again, all of your files are on your device. That's different from something like a VPS, right? Because if you have an agent that's hosted in the cloud by somebody, well, then if they go away or they go poof, they're gone, your agent's gone. You don't want that. And so by having it on your device here and running OpenClaw in a secure container, you get to manage it and you have the peace of mind for how that's going to run, the files that you give it, and the ways in which you choose for all that to be operating.
Love that. Thank you so much for that overview, Alan. So let's talk about the files that we talked about, and this is almost like I'm excited really to kind of get into the some of these details here as well. But what if you wanted to share certain files with Julie? How would you do that?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty straightforward here. So I can drop files in, and so
Okay.
there's this plus button, and so I can
Okay.
actually put files into this workspace. And
Okay.
so let's say like, let's take like, what's a good one here? Let me find a good. Let's say I'll use. Let's see, which picture is this? Yeah, I'll say I'll take a picture of my dog, right? And I'll drop this image in here, and it's like I can pull this open here, and then I just drop that in from my desktop, and I got a picture
Mm-hmm.
of my dog. And so then you could be like, all right, I can take that and I can take a chat, and then I can say, let's pull the files back up, and then you can maybe say like, what is a good diet for the dog described in image 48 43.jpg. So like it has no idea like what that image is. It's gonna think it's a dog, but it's gonna go look at that file now that I dropped in, and then it's gonna tell me maybe next week of meals for my dog here that I can go shop for and do. And so, like you said, I was able to just put the plus sign in, drop that in from my file desktop. I've moved it again, so it's kind of copied. It's not accessing the file that was in my downloads or available there. And so I've replicated it, and now it's able to go read it there. So let's see what it says here for a diet. But yeah, you also have the ability to add files here on the bottom here on that side. And then again, a lot of these are kind of the OpenClaw system files and other files that we kind of see. And so again, I'm speeding some of this up, showing some of the thinking. For X, we saw that it kind of took some time. So depending on the degree, it kind of goes slower or faster. And we are looking to optimize other types of interactions here. I'm most excited about the desktop. I think this is a key breakthrough really in the design architecture. But a lot of people have been using other things like cron jobs and other types of automation that are directly woven into this as well.
Oh, this is awesome. I think we are. Oh, there we go. It's actually giving a pretty detailed response here.
Yeah, it thought through it very thoroughly. So let's let it finish up
Yeah.
here. Let's see what it says. So it says you can't see. Oh no, why couldn't it find it? Live demos, gotta love it. But it can. So if we were to maybe go through, maybe it didn't pull up that JPEG correctly. But I was doing some planning on marketing the other day, and so I was got some strategy around social growth, Instagram growth, TikTok strategy. And so maybe let's say, all right, forget about the dog. What's in Instagram? Let's say what's in marketing Instagram strategy.md. So yeah, again, you can kind of play around these files. Markdowns might be a little easier here. So you can see that one came up a little faster than the image. We'll resolve some of those issues on reading much faster here, but it pulls up again and it tells me kind of a summary here on reading that Instagram strategy. And now maybe if I was a business owner or if I was doing something for my business, I can say, all right, let's go implement that, right? So like what to go spin up accounts, make that all happen and develop and do that in real time. And so seeing the files here and having that isolated space is super powerful. And yeah, there's a ton of different options we can go with this.
Absolutely love it. I mean, this is going to make life so much easier for people. Alan, could you tell us a little bit about some of the like some of the ways that this could help people, especially when it comes to automation? I know I talked earlier about how agentic AI is so important when it comes to, doing research. It could help you if you are on the business side. It could help you with your RFP, RFI, RFQ researches to win government contracts. It could help you with other types of researches if you're somebody who's looking for job career opportunities. It could also help you there. You could automate a lot of tasks if you're trying to reach if you're a recruiter trying to recruit for a company, it can help you with that. What are some of the other use cases, especially like for on the Web3 front, that you're seeing where agentic AI could be super helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I think Web 2 and Web 3 here can all make use of it. And we haven't even gotten into the Web 3 part, which is exciting. You talked a little bit about automation here. We'll just take a next step from where we're at with looking at this Instagram strategy, and we'll see what we can do in terms of automation here. So we can say, create a task job. Let's create a job that runs every minute that creates Instagram copy for a post for Entropic. And so now we're telling it, okay, we have this strategy. Now we want to do some automation here. What does that look like? And so now we're going to create a job that can run within Entropic and do automation around copy and say, hey, like I want to have a post. We're going to try it every minute and see what it does. See what it can kind of spit out here. But as this is running, let's see what it gets back to. But while that's running, I'll get to the Web3 part. I think the Web3 part for all of agentic AI is very interesting because it's really taking me back to 2017 and 2018 and maybe even the bear like 2019, where people are like, forget about crypto. We don't care about crypto, but blockchain and smart contracts, oh my gosh, that is the future. And then we're going through this again where everyone's like, okay, these bank chains and like these centralized systems and all these things like that do smart contracts, AI is going to love all of that because it needs smart contracts. But if we don't have decentralization, then what's the point of using a blockchain? And what's the point of using a smart contract? If we don't have actual censorship resistance, if we don't have actual ways in which people can validate the systems for themselves, then we're not going to get anywhere in terms of like smart contracts being good, right? And so the coordination and the governance around agentic systems has to be on crypto and it has to be on blockchains because it needs to be verifiable, it needs to be cheap, it needs to be open, it needs to be all of these other things that crypto already provides. And so I think the future of all of this revolves around these decentralized rails. I think the ones that are kind of maximally decentralized and have that ethos will be the ones that attract agentic systems. The ones that are lowest friction will attract these agentic systems. That's all AI cares about, really, is minimizing friction and making it easier to accomplish tasks. And so getting to that vision of Web3, all of the blockchains and all of the tools and all the SDKs that can provide that and these governance structures are going to be, I think, where that wins in Web3. Again, this task taking a pretty long time, so we'll see how long this one takes to spit out here and what it does. But overall, optimistic about the intersection of crypto and AI, and I think it's more real. And I think, if you get a flashback to like when people were doing all the stuff in Solana last year around AI, getting hot about it, and like excited, it's hard because a lot of that didn't materialize into real developments, and people were just like, okay, we're going to tokenize this all, and we're not going to have these products. And so I think crypto many times gets lost in tokenization. I think you even see right now like a visceral reaction from the AI crowd in OpenClaw that's like, if this has crypto in it, stay away. And like, oh gosh, like, I don't want any crypto stuff. And it's like, they're going to have a token to sell us. And it's like, well, you need tokens and you need economic coordination because you need civil resistance and you need things that make it easy for agents to coordinate. And not everything needs a token. I'll be the first one to tell you, not everything needs a token. But tokens are useful for economic coordination and for ways in which to kind of build a better system and structure for AI to use.
Yeah, no, that's the key, right? Like when we are talking about this is something that Bill Inman talks about quite a bit as well, that you need tokens for AI agents to talk to one another. That's the easiest way that you're going to be able to do a transaction. So yes, I think blockchain and AI kind of goes hand in hand, regardless of what people believe in. But yeah, I hear you, because a lot of people, when they say, we of course we have certain biases against AI, where people are like, oh, I hate AI because it's gonna take over everything, it's gonna put me out of a job market, and it's taken over, it's taken my job, so I don't like it. And then you throw crypto into the mixture, then it's like, okay, crypto is a scam, AI is taking over my jobs. It's like the worst evil, the worst form of evil that you could possibly come up with. So I could definitely I hear a lot of those concerns from people. So yeah, I hear you.
It's a challenge, and I think that fundamentally, humans are adaptable, right? You kind of led
Mhm.
with like this COVID type shock with agentic flows, and like humans adapted to COVID. It was very challenging and it sucked, but I think ultimately, like throughout time, and again, I'm younger, so I'm not going to act like I've seen the whole world and been around for a long time. But humans can find ways to evolve into the technology in the technological future and make it useful for them. And I think ultimately technology is a great tool for democratization and lifting people out of poverty. Getting people aware and informed of what's happening in the world. And so I think it's just another one of those steps where humans are going to find ways to bring AI into their lives and do a lot of things for efficiency. And I would love it if people can get their time back by using
Mhm.
Entropic to spend more time on things that they actually love and things that they
Mhm.
actually want to do. And so you're right. And I think that, a lot of people, especially like a lot of the Silicon Valley bros and San Francisco people are like doomers around AI. But I think that's because, maybe we're getting to the point now where a lot of it is saturated. And now we're going to have this sort of next kind of era of creation and getting things, creativity and unleashing creativity. And so, from my perspective, I
Mhm.
hear you on all of that, which is why, when we saw this opportunity to do this, I think we're probably going to see a lot of tools that look like Entropic, that look like
Mhm.
architecture. We were heads down for a month building this thing, and we just launched
Mhm.
last Friday. So, we have a very limited kind of iteration cycle on what people want to see. But I think the architecture here is the key selling point and doing it in a way that is tasteful. And so I hear on all points. It looks like our job finished up here. And so
Mhm.
I know it's hitting the wall on some stuff. What did it see? Didn't get it. Oh, wait, no, wait. Did it start the job? And so, yeah, looking at jobs here, let's see if it would have created it. And it looks like we lost some of our history when we went off. Oh, here we go. So it looks like it did create some Instagram copy for us.
Okay.
And it was generated here. And so, uh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. Memory stays local, encrypted. You get the workflow without the blast radius. Comment recipe, and I'll DM the exact prompt permission, blah, blah, blah. So like now we can turn these out, every minute,
Mhm.
and we'll see what it comes up with. Uh, Again, we can also kind of go into jobs and create them here. And so that one's
Mhm.
showing here. Again, live demos. Uh, but yeah, I mean, we're constantly iterating on this thing, and we're shipping updates pretty quickly to make this all better. And also OpenClaw has been changing a lot under us, so that
Mhm.
we've been trying to manage that as well. But uh,
Yeah.
I think this is the kind of thing that people can get into easily and enjoy,
Mhm.
customize, and make it their own. And so, uh, we have a lot of different ways that we can take this and open to feedback in terms of what people want to see. But
Mhm.
yeah, and it's been a really lot of it's been a lot of fun to build this out and see where we can go with it.
Oh, this is incredible. So, one question that I do have, and this is coming from me as a parent. So, of course, I have a daughter who loves AI. I want her to be able to use AI even more, and I can see her using Entropic. So, are you building any features that would basically allow us parents to kind of lock down certain things or make sure that there's a log for everything so I can go back and look at it if I wanted to review she's been doing.
Yeah, so we do have logging, and I haven't really had the perspective of that question yet, but we do have logs that can be pulled and exported, so you can kind of see what's going on and like some of the stuff that happens. It's kind of more system logs versus like chat export,
Mm-hmm.
and parental controls and things around that. Definitely something that we can explore if there's enough demand for it, and
Hmm.
I think ultimately too a broader question around guardrails and a broader
Hmm.
question around what is safe in AI and what is, not just from a computer physical perspective, but also a psychological, right? Like
Hmm.
I've been,
Exactly.
I've been using all these tools, and when you go down the rabbit hole and when you're sitting at a computer for 8 hours at a time and you're basically just telling all of this AI stuff to build stuff. Remember, I went to school for computer science. I haven't
Hmm.
written a line of code probably in months, right? Like
Hmm.
I review a lot of code and I, you know, move some lines of code around and I, look at code all the time. But in terms of efficiency and security, not writing as much code as I used to, and I'm able to ship 5-10x more in terms of products here. And so that kind of stuff, whenever you're like, hey, is this moving in the right direction? Is this something that psychologically makes sense? Because if I'm looking back on the past 6 years, like, wow, like, that's like a ton of time spent to like get to this point where like, hey, I know the architecture and I know how things work, but that's a whole paradigm shift in terms of how much code I'm writing in my career and all the things that people kind of build their identity around. And so I think that's kind of where you see again like the concern that people have. But again, I think if people can use the tools in a way that helps them, then you're going to be able to kind of find those guardrails and operate on it. Because I guarantee you, the government and these large AI companies that are racing to some goal aren't going to be the ones to put guardrails on it. And they're not going to be the ones to do it in a way that is friendly long term. They just want to maximize retention and maximize revenue here. I think we are kind of positioned in a way where we can do more on the guardrail side and on the workflows and do more around these kind of setups and in making sure they're done securely. Like, if you're setting up your agent, you have a new chat and you want to interact with it a certain way, maybe there's certain things that are better sensible defaults than going off the rails and letting it choose whatever. And like the types of questions that you ask it, the types of questions that it asks you, and building them in a way that is more positive versus just like, loose cannon.
It's so incredible too, Alan. I remember not too long ago, we were having these discussions. It was on a space or something, and I would say maybe about a couple of years ago. And one of the things that I said was even then AI was like a nice to have, good to have. It wasn't to the point of where you could say it's absolutely a need, uh, similar to like what you have with email or cell phones. Like you need those, but like I could say today that it's a need. It's like absolutely a need nowadays, especially even when I'm like Google search, for example. I don't see that being as useful. Like I don't even like to Google search anymore. It's pretty much completely been replaced by AI tools that I've been using to do the research and find the answers. It's like so much better than random Google searching and then spending so much time on research and things like that. It's just so much easier with AI and AI agents. But what
Totally.
an incredible product! One thing about your team, Alan, is that you guys ship products super fast. It's not like we have this concept and we're going to work around it. And you know what? Also, by the way, we are raising funds and we are going to be launching this or that, but it's going to be 2 years from now. You guys actually, you're like, you know what? We have this idea. We're going to build it and we're going to ship it tomorrow. Like, this is what you guys do. I don't know how you do it. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we're locked in, and we want all this to accrue to what we're doing in the ecosystem. We want this to be symbiotic. Like I said, there are ways of doing crypto in tasteful ways, right? When you look at if you do things on Polymarket, if you do things on agentic economy, if you have ways in which agents can pay for things, they are probably best to use crypto there. Same on the proof of work side, on the mining side. If you look at managing compute, if you look at managing resources for agents, there's a ton of stuff you can do. And I think I appreciate the compliment, and I think that where we're headed with Entropic is again one of those like necessity things. You need these these kind of cornerstones and these things that you can build around for people to sort of see. And I think that we've set up the foundation and the underlying with the blockchain architecture. And again, Entropic isn't like using anything directly kind of Quai related today. We intend to change that and do it in a tasteful way. But again, I think that's like the key word is it has to make sense. And from our perspective of our team, that's like where we operate is this actually practical? And does this make sense versus like a 2-year, 1-year thing? We take the time on the things that we need to get right, like designing a consensus mechanism and designing, a global system of a blockchain. But for something like this, where we have an idea, get it done and you test it, because that's where the real world is. And we've been building enough products for enough time where it's like, no one's really going to remember that first launch. They're going to remember if they keep seeing it and they keep seeing people use it and actually providing real user feedback. And so that's what we're looking to do over these next few weeks is actually get people on and make a product that people want to use and integrate with their life.
Yeah, and this product is such an awesome way to also kind of bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. I could see it like it's not really targeted towards just the crypto folks. Anyone can use it. Like anyone can set it up, especially if you're somebody who's really excited about. I met a lot of people who are excited about OpenClaw. They want to try it out, but they don't know where to begin sometimes, or they are too cautious around, giving access to their computers, things like that, which again, I could totally understand. So this is going to be making a lot of lives easier, and I'm excited about this. Very, very excited. Also, Alan, I know you mentioned Quai, so I know we have a few minutes here, so I want to talk a little bit about Quai as well. I noticed there was actually a news recently that you guys shared around how uh, a lot of the quiet tokens were being removed from the vesting with the vote and confidence from all of your investors. So I would love for you to kind of talk about that because that was pretty exciting to hear.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Huge win for the quiet community. And I'll pull up another one of, let's see here. I'll pull up soap because we shipped soap in December. And so
Hmm.
this was an exciting win around burns and addressing some of the issues with proof of work. And so when you look at what we've done with a proof of work blockchain here, we've actually taken it to get the emissions closer to net neutral. And so there's real revenue coming back into Quai from
Hmm.
mining other blockchains and mining other systems. So reusing merge mining in a way that applies revenue to Quai and has real value accrual. And so you've seen here just in the past little over 2 months, we've done 36,000 Ravencoin blocks, 365 Litecoin blocks, 800 Dogecoin blocks, and 709 Bitcoin Cash blocks. So all of these blocks on these other blockchains are mined by Quai, and they are mined by, again, a decentralized network of miners. And so people can come in, it's permissionless, it's censorship resistant, you just mine Quai, you get Quai, but on the back end, those tokens are used to buy back Quai off the open market and burn it. And so we've burned almost 40 million Quai now, which is just insane. And so that speaks to just kind of the circulating emissions within the protocol. And the news that you're
Hmm.
referencing just launched this week, actually, around an upcoming fork that foregoes 81.1% of the future unlocks, primarily between a set of early seed investors, the Quai
Hmm.
Foundation, and the labs entity that has some tokens. And so we're doing that to ratchet down the FDV. We don't want to live in this world of kind of future supply and having current people have to worry about unlocks. It's the year of the fire horse. It's the year of new beginnings. It's the year of
Hmm.
kind of doing right by people for what we're looking to accomplish. And we saw this as a really good mechanism to bring that circulating supply closer to fully diluted, and
Hmm.
having that makes it kind of a revitalization around the tokenomics and a revitalization around what we're shipping and what we're doing, and having that reinforce everything we're doing from Entropic to Kipper to Blip to Pelagus to different mining pools, this full ecosystem really. And we definitely can't do it alone. And so that's sort of the mechanisms that we've heard from the community would be good to address. We did it. And so we're kind of out with the old and in with the new on Quai having bad tokenomics. We're cleaning that all up, and there's charts and there's graphs that are in the docs that kind of address a lot of that. And so, yeah, fantastic news for the community. We're excited about it. We want to get everyone on the same page, marching forward together, and with all the things that we're doing, just continuing to pound the pavement.
That's incredible. No, I was very excited when I heard that news, and also that the community was actually behind it and they were supporting it. It's very unlike what's happening nowadays with a lot of blockchain projects where either a randomly, of course, during the bear market, and this is really for everybody who's up here and who's watching. I always say that bear markets actually are a blessing because bear markets expose a lot of things, right? They expose bad teams. They also tell you who's here for the long run. So you really need to be paying attention to what teams are still here and building with the same passion, if not more, than what they had during the bull market. And I could definitely see that with Quai team, because this is the time when a lot of teams are going to just quit and say, you know what, markets are bad. I'm done with crypto. I'm going to move on. It's too much. And they will be back again after 2, 3 years. They'll be back when the markets are good. They're going to try and scam you again. So stay away from those projects, stay away from those people, and make sure that you're focusing on the people who are actually here doing something meaningful in blockchain and actually building an ecosystem that's useful, not just coming up with vaporware, right? Actual use cases. So definitely be on the lookout for these kind of teams. And it made me so happy, Alan, when I saw that you were, we have some projects that are doing things like not giving their investors tokens at all or changing the vesting. You actually did something that is helpful for everybody, like the current investors, the early investors. It was incredible. I was so happy to see that.
Yeah, I think again, you want to find those win-win situations in life, and
Hmm.
that's a win-win all around. And we did it, with the help of Polychain, with the help of the foundation, with the help of getting just in a good spot to make it happen. And it's something that I think that again the community can rally around and really get excited about the future and find ways to do more with building on Quai. Our next sort of agenda, we have a few things that we want to do with SOAP, and so
Hmm.
getting to the point where we can use SOAP to have as a mining pool directly to earn things like Litecoin, Dogecoin, Bitcoin Cash directly instead of Quai, and then also moving up to the point where Quai is mining Bitcoin. Like that's something that is very tangible. And so, right
Hmm.
now we're at 400 petahash. If we roughly 4x that, we'll be at 2 exahash. At 2 exahash, you'll find a Bitcoin block through Quai roughly every 3 days. And so, it'll be a bit of a marathon to mine a Bitcoin block, but it'll be a cool one. And so we'll see, when that kind of marathon kicks off. And, it's kind of more loose right now, but that's something that we want to do and something that would be a good push, because just imagine the marketing from that. If another blockchain is mining Bitcoin, that would be cool to see.
Hmm. No, absolutely incredible. Love that, Ellen. And this was an incredible overview. I cannot wait to see all the updates. I cannot wait for the Windows version to go live. Please let me know as soon as it goes live, because I'll be using it. And also would love to bring you back again at some point, because I'm sure there are more questions. And also you will probably have a lot more use cases as more and more people start to use it and provide feedback. And this is another thing about decentralization and Web3 ecosystem. Whenever you have teams like Quai, and you're trying their product out, you provide feedback in their Telegram group, things like that. Then that feedback is taken seriously. And so that's the best part, is like you building the product alongside with the team, and providing that feedback to them that's valuable. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
Ellen,
there's a
appreciate
feedback
it.
button. There's a feedback button in Entropic if you do use it. If something
Okay.
breaks, it's not our intent for things to break. That's just how startups move. So if
Hmm.
something does break on you, submit a ticket. We'll take a look. We'll try to get some fixes out. We shipped some fixes yesterday, doing things like bringing in Python so that if people are coding, they have access to Python inside of it, adding additional features and skills. And then, yeah, we're shipping a ton of updates here. And so Windows again coming soon. We're going to try to knock that out, and then
Hmm.
improving that desktop view, and then also doing things like web publishing. Like, can you publish a website, in a second? Can you demo a product on your own? Can you ship something to the App Store? I think that's all very feasible. And so, yeah, a lot of different ways we can take it. All ears on what people want to see. And I'm always responsive. Try to be as responsive as possible. So if people aren't in the app yet but have ideas, feel free to drop a comment somewhere or shoot me a DM. More than glad to get responsive there. If you're hanging out in the Quad Discord, great. I'd love to have people chatting there. And yeah, ultimately appreciate the time today. Definitely looking forward to seeing what people have to say about Entropic if they get on. And remember, it is a free download, and you get kicked off with $1 there for inference. It lasts you a pretty good time to get an agent set up and test out the app. And you're able to use your local keys as well, or use other provider keys if you don't want to have billing there. But billing is unified and easy if you choose. So looking to make it as customizable as possible for people. And yeah, thanks again.
Thank you so much, Alan, for joining. It was such a pleasure hosting you today. And I will definitely have a list of items, a wish list, I guess, as a parent, especially. So I'll be reaching out to you for
Let's do
that
it.
whenever I set it up. Yep. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. It was great. And also, thanks for providing some updates around Quai. Super excited and bullish on you guys and everything that you're building. It's absolutely incredible. And thanks for everything that you're doing also in the blockchain sector. It's so refreshing to see teams like Quai. I mean, incredible work you guys are doing. So hats off to you, especially during the bear markets when a lot of people are going through that bear market fatigue. You guys keep building and shipping products. So love that. Well, this is all for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks to everybody who was able to repost. You can still retweet it because this live stream was recorded. Let's support a good team out there. Go and check out Quai and Alan and Entropic AI, of course. Really excited for this product. It will have Windows version soon as well. So we'll be testing that out as soon as possible and providing some feedback to my community. And we will be back again tomorrow, by the way, with a really awesome FOMO Friday. So tune in for some good market updates. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Ra. Catch you next time.